Hello, everyone. Welcome to this session, and welcome to Georgia Tech, or at least the little glimpse you'll get of it today. First off, we want to say congratulations since we're all admitted students. We're so glad we get to talk to you today and hopefully help you through your decision if you haven't made it already. I'll let everyone on our panel introduce themselves, but I'll go first. My name is Hannah. I am from the suburbs of Chicago, and I am currently a fourth year industrial engineering major at Tech. Um, since this is a student life panel, some of the things I'm involved with on campus, I am a Georgia Tech tour guide. I've played on the women's club soccer team. I've been an RA for first year students the past 3 years, and I've been involved in a service sorority as well as some mentorship programs on campus. So I'll pass it over to Peter now.
All right, hey everyone. Glad to be talking in front of you guys today. My name is Peter Oliveira Sowens. I'm a fifth-year mechanical engineering major from Lexington, Massachusetts. And some of the things I'm involved with on campus, part of the stand-up comedy club, and I also have a job at an innovation center, which is where I spend a good amount of my time. So that's my favorite thing to do.
All right, hi guys. I'm Sen. I'm a third-year bio major from Marietta, Georgia. And some of my involvements on campus are I'm a rock climbing instructor with outdoor recreation at Georgia Tech. I'm also the VP of training for outdoor rec. Obviously, I'm a tour guide. I've been involved with astrobiology research in the past, but currently am a medical scribe at Piedmont Atlanta Hospital. That's one of the things I do.
Sweet. So we'll jump into some of your questions. I believe you can use the Q&A chat throughout this session to drop questions for us, but in case you have to dip out early or anything, we want to kick it off by saying some things about why we came to Georgia Tech, obviously, so get some perspectives. Personally, for me, I wasn't looking at any schools outside the Midwest or in any big cities. Those were two of like my main points on my list, and of course, I came to this only school that had one of them, let alone both of those things. After coming down and visiting, I know it probably looks different as you guys are doing virtual visits and things like that, but I really just got a sense of the community being extremely welcoming. Since you guys got into tech, you guys probably got into other reputable schools around the nation, and just visiting those other schools, it seemed very cutthroat and individualistic, so I didn't feel like I would grow there. But coming to Tech, I don't know if it's Southern hospitality, but everyone was so welcoming. They just wanted everyone to succeed here. And being able to, like we've all mentioned, take advantage of so many different opportunities on campus, it was just like a no-brainer choice for me.
I can talk a bit about my situation. So I was probably a bit in different shoes than you guys, where I actually didn't start here at Georgia Tech. I started at Emory University, and did this thing called the dual degree program where I went there for a few years, and now I'm going to Georgia Tech and I get a degree from both. So it wasn't exactly where you guys are right now, but I sort of knew that I wanted to go somewhere in the South. After getting, I think, 13 feet of snow my senior year of high school, I was like, no, I'm not staying in Massachusetts. So that's a little bit about what I was doing. I sort of knew I wanted to do that program when I applied there. And that's been a while ago that I think about it. I'm about to graduate, so looking back that far, that's my story. Be happy to talk about it more, but that's me.
I am from Georgia, so not out of state like these two, which means that for a long time I did not want to go to Georgia Tech because I wanted to get out of Georgia. But I ended up actually having the opportunity to do research here during my senior year of high school and kind of just fell in love with campus and the community and the collaboration aspect of it. Got a lot of really great mentorship, got a lot of really good exposure to the sciences, and just kind of figured out that this is where I wanted to call home for the 4 years after that. So even though I originally had come in thinking never Georgia Tech, I was really lucky to get the experiences I did when I did.
Thank you guys. We'll hop into some of your questions now. A few of the first topics will center around student life. So first one, great one to kick it off. What do students do in their free time? I'll let Peter, Ksenia, if you want to share first.
Yeah, I can hop in there. It really is up to you. The thing that I always tell people is, you have a choice. You can go out, do sports, do clubs. There are a lot of different clubs for stuff you're interested in. There's like academic clubs, if you're like into building cars or solar cars or robots or like medical robots or, there's all sorts of stuff related to your major. And there's also like, fun ones. There's like video gaming clubs where you can go out and play esports with each other. So I'd really recommend that. The one caveat is, you can totally spend 10 hours a day in your dorm room just, playing League of Legends. And you're not really going to have a good time if you do that. If you want to play League of Legends, go out there and join the esports club and play with other people. So, it's really, there's a wide range of things for you guys to do. I did tour guide and I did stand-up comedy because I like talking in front of people. I like having captive audiences, so you guys have to listen to what I have to say. And so there's room for me to do that sort of thing. So that's my 2 cents on that.
Yeah, I'll second that. I think really it comes down to where your passions lie, but sometimes you might not even know your passions until you get here. Like I didn't know that I was going to be super into rock climbing until I got to join rock climbing and be like, oh, this is who I am now, and became kind of part of who I am. So I think part of that is that you can come in here with some idea of what you want to do, no idea what you want to do, but you'll find something else that's not just academically focused that will kind of drive you in a different way and motivate you too. Like I know sometimes I'm like, oh, I want to get my work done so I can go to Alabama this weekend so I can be on rocks, because we're obviously all very talented and academically gifted to have gone in. So kind of what do you want to make of the other time when you're not focusing on school?
Yeah, I would say too, you guys were already probably in the same boat where, in high school I was always like, I want to be the one that plans these events or is in these clubs, so I'm doing these things. But you can attend events here too. You don't need to be in the nitty-gritty. There's a program here on campus called Student Center Programs Committee. And basically it's just a group of students who plan events for the whole campus. So they've hosted like a GT day at the zoo. You can just go hang out with your fellow peers at the zoo for super discounted tickets. So don't feel like you need to join a club. Like Sunny was saying, you can get tastes of a bunch of different things, especially things you might not have had, an opportunity to get involved with in high school, given like limited resources. So it's a great question. The next one, how has COVID affected student life, clubs, intramurals, etc.?
Yeah, so I feel like this is a good question. I know that COVID has affected all of our lives in some way or another. But I would say that at the core, student life still remains, and we still have really great modifications to the programs that Hannah was talking about. Like I know we still are doing events, they're just masked and distance. One of the things we're doing right now is films on the field, which is at our campus rec center. We're doing a showing of Apollo. We have like a carnival happening tomorrow, where again, we're being cautious, but we have weekly testing. We are starting to roll out the vaccine. I think overall, it's like starting to flow back into smaller groups, smaller waves of the things we once knew. But in general, there's always been initiative and drive for people to keep coming together and hanging out with their different communities and joining new communities. So that's my take on it. Anything to add, Hannah, Peter?
I could say for my end, this semester I'm taking 2 classes. I'm literally finishing up everything I had to do. So I've been remote for pretty much the entire time. So I haven't really been, on campus a whole lot. So, you could say it's really affected me, but, I haven't really had to pay rent. So that's been great. And so my goal right now is just sort of finish up. Me being at Emory, most of my close friends graduated 2 years ago. So I've just been doing my own thing. That being said, we have a full, essentially, rollout plan for this fall. So things are going to be popping off again. You're going to be able to go out there, be social. And that's going to be coming back essentially right after I leave.
Yeah, exactly. And as being an RA for first year students, they, especially at Tech, really encourage us to host events, but obviously it had to look different this fall, but they still wanted us to keep the same amount of events, just make them different. Maybe if you used to have like in-person movie nights with your floor, it turned to being virtual over, I know there's like Netflix party and things like that now. So it's definitely taken a turn, but I think we still have the same quantity, if not more opportunities that I've seen. Maybe it's just because I can see them now and get involved with since there's so many emails coming out, but there's still many ways to get involved. So that's really exciting. All right, what is a normal day like in Atlanta, and what do students do for fun? I can kick this one off. this is something where being an out-of-state student, I didn't have a car my first year, so I was kind of like, oh, I'm stuck to the boundaries of campus. Same like a lot of Midwest schools are just, dropped in some cornfields, so you can't really do much. But no, having Atlanta down just the street, you're in the heart of it. It's crazy amazing. I'm a huge sports fan, and so I can take a 15-minute walk down the street and I'm at our, you know, Atlanta basketball stadium, football stadium. That's where the soccer team plays now for MLS. So just so many opportunities on my back doorstep. So that's something that I love. I know people talk about the food opportunities all the time. Slowly throughout my years, I've realized that, I can go get a meal off campus during my class break because, classes aren't all day. The opportunity that you have, I've taken advantage of going, driving off campus 30 minutes with some disc golf friends. And so we just go and disc golf in the middle of the day on a Tuesday. So it's been awesome for doing things like that you have all these opportunities right here and you can do it on a weekday during class and not save it for a weekend like I normally would have thought. So, Yesenia or Peter?
I would say every day definitely looks different. It's kind of, you have your standardized class schedule and then you have these breaks like Hannah was talking about. And every day I have something new planned. Either it's like a meeting for a club, or it's like I'm gonna go just play frisbee with friends, or I have an event, or like you hear about free food on campus and you're like, well, I want free food. Like right now for testing we get King of Pops and I was like, well, that's fantastic, it's back. So it's just you fill in your time with a lot of different small fun things in between. And like at nights, I know that me and my friends will hang out at the house or go on walks around campus and things like that. So you find different ways besides just doing school 24/7. Always, of course, there's times where you're studying too, but I would say every day is different, but every day is full of fun. And that also Atlanta has a lot of opportunity to explore. I mean, there's Piedmont, and then there's places to eat, and always something happening. So yeah.
I mean, it for me it varied semester to semester. If you play it right, I had one semester where I only had class Tuesdays and Thursdays. It was like an 8-hour just solid block of class. But, I had 4-day weekends for a whole semester, and that really opened things up to go trips and do all sorts of things. I don't anymore. I used to play rugby. I stopped when I got concussed, so that was a bit more like we'd have practice on weeknights and go out and travel for games on the weekends and that sort of thing. So there's definitely a lot of social stuff going on that's available to you. And you sort of gotta plan it out. You get a sense for how long each homework and each class will take, and then you don't do it all the night before. You're gonna have a bad time if you do that. But you divvy it up, and then you're set. Then you're able to do what you want to do on the nights that you want to do it. And I guess real quick, something about stressful. Georgia Tech's very stressful environment. I want to just address that in the QA. Someone's been on the Georgia Tech Reddit a lot. It must be. And I tell you, those are a lot of people who like to complain. I have a better grade now than I did at the previous school that I was at. It's been fine. You just get adjusted to it at a certain point. Like you learn how to do coursework, and you learn how to manage your time. And if you don't manage that, you're not going to have a great time. But if you do, then you will. Just hopped in. Julian just posted in that. And then also about Atlanta, I love it. It was early March and we were having 70-degree days. Not like that in Massachusetts. And there's just a lot of stuff going on. We're right next to Midtown. A lot of food, activities, nightlife too. Like my old apartment was right next to a club. So there's a lot of stuff going on that you can definitely take advantage of. It's a big city.
Also, to speak to that question that was asked, I think sometimes that people only hear one thing because there might be like a stereotype or a stigma associated with it, but every school will have stressors. No matter where you go, college is still college. You're still taking rigorous coursework. It's something new. It's something different. I know it's just, like Peter was saying, an adjustment period. A lot of it is just time management, and a lot of it is having drive. So it's not anything that will be specific necessarily just to tech. I think that it's kind of just a new experience and learning how to adapt to that new experience as a whole. So of course there's times where you'll be stressed, as naturally you are in life, but I don't think it's any more so than anywhere else. Yeah.
Yeah, just so we're gonna go into some more academic central questions now. Keep dropping questions in the chat. That was great. This might cover what you guys have just mentioned, but I'll throw it out anyway in case there's some gaps to fill. But the next question was, how is the academic pressure and competitiveness in classes? So I think that was mentioned pretty well. I'll share my story. Like I said, I felt like a lot of other colleges when I was visiting them, they felt a lot more like cutthroat than Georgia Tech did. And I think that's held true is Georgia Tech is just a very welcoming environment. Obviously, like if there is a culture shift from high school classes to college classes that I realized I could not do my homework the night before, even like 2 hours before the deadline. So that took a second, but I got it. But I'll mention, like, I've had great stories where I have done that homework the night before or the project that night before, and I'm sitting in the, teaching assistant's office and I'm just, on the verge and I'm like, hey, I need help. And he stayed 3 hours after his office hours ends just going through it with me and like my two group members just because we were so behind. Just because he knows he was a student, obviously, since he was a TA. He knows the struggles of tech. He knows he's been in our shoes, and so he's always willing to help, especially nowadays with COVID. A lot of my professors have been very understanding as well. And so just overall, like other than the college shift, I think Georgia Tech was one of the main schools that actually was very accommodating to students, I would say. Yeah, how about you guys? Any gaps you want to fill on that?
I'll just say like a good amount is like time management, and you pick that up. Don't some things you can pop to the night before, and you'll learn throughout your time here which ones you can do that with. And you'll learn it the hard way, because the ones that you do put off to the night before that you shouldn't have, that's going to hurt. And no amount of us telling you to not do that is going to teach you more than that hurt that's going to happen right there. So, it's probably going to happen. And you're just going to learn to not do that. And it's really, it's entirely up to you. Don't let the teammates not talk in your chat until the night before and then say, oh, it was 2 a.m. and we were working last night. Where were you? Do your stuff ahead of time and tell them, I'm not willing to stay up for the whole night, the night before this is due. I'm willing to do the work, the days before, the week before, but not just put myself in that terrible situation, because you want to get sleep. That's absolutely essential. And, I'll highlight again, like my grades here are better than the past university I was at. Like it's completely doable.
The only thing I want to mention that hasn't been said is that there's a lot of resources for you to utilize, especially here on campus, and I think that's a really big emphasis. Like I know when I came in, some classes still are difficult. I may have not had the study skills I did in high school. I definitely in high school was the night before type of person. I'm a week before type of person for preparation for exams. But that being said, that means that I've utilized one-on-one tutoring on campus or plus sessions, which are peer-led undergrad sessions. Sorry. And then also there's academic coaching, which I haven't actually done, but I've heard great things about from other peers who have. And there's plenty of ways that you can ask for help, either just from your TAs, from using the resources, or from talking directly to your professor. Like my office hours last semester that I did with my genetics professor, I went from getting a very low grade on a test to getting only A's. So you sometimes just have to put yourself, like I know when I came into tech, I didn't want to ask questions because I had not like I felt like I could do it myself. And you can do it yourself, but there's no harm in just being like, hey, I need a hand right now. This is new to me. And I think that's the real big thing, is making sure that you are remembering that this is new to you and it's okay to ask for help. And that is in all regards, not just student life or academic life, like any way you need it. There's plenty of resources for you to use, and also plenty of friends. Like I know me and my friends plan schedules around each other so that we can be in classes together to be like doing homework at the same time, and it's made a lot of classes like biochemistry so much more bearable when you're learning all the amino acids at one time. So I would say that as well.
I really like the next question. How is the diversity of majors among students? Are there more majors represented than others? I'll let one of you two kick it off if you want.
The two most popular majors, it keeps alternating between CS and mechanical engineering. You're going to find more of those than you will other majors on campus. That's just a given. But that being said, we do have a lot of, specifically other engineering majors, but then we also have like a lot of people in the business school or people who are doing engineering and then doing like minoring in business or getting like we have a program, the technology and management program where you do engineering and you also do business. And then we also have the Ivan Allen College of I think liberal arts. And that is smaller, Like I said, the two most popular majors are computer science and mechanical engineering. So you're going to see a lot more students in those. But that doesn't mean that there aren't really like, if you're interested in psychology, we do have like a psychology department. They have their own building. I went there. I took a class there. So there's something for whatever you're interested in.
We have some new majors and we're constantly adding new things, which is kind of cool to see. I know there was a survey not a couple years ago, like my first year, about adding a potential health-specific major, and I think that might be on the horizon. Neuro just got added a couple years ago. We had music tech. Computational media also, I think, is fairly new. So there's a lot of change, but a lot of really great change too coming. I mean, some other engineerings have been retired, like nuclear, but I'm pretty sure. But yeah, so a lot of different programs for a lot of different interests.
Yeah, I just find it funny because it looks different this year, but I'm signing up for graduation currently, and you normally get to sit with, people of your major, but this year they opened it up a little bit. But I was just going through and I was like, oh, all of my friends are in other major, like my really close friends that I hang out with all the time. I'm like, you're all in other majors and like in these other sections, and now I can sit next to you. Otherwise I would not have been able to. And I find that so funny that I spend most of my time in class with other industrial engineering majors, but I found that most of my friends are outside of that. Maybe it's because I don't want to talk about class all the time, but it's I don't know, a lot of colleges talk about like you're kind of in your path and you don't really cross paths with anyone else, and that's just like not what I found to be true here. Yeah, like I said, my best friends are not IE majors, so it's really a great time to kind of get that diversity of like ideas and stuff too. Sweet. All right, we'll switch over to a housing question. Peter, you might be able to give us some insight. The question was, where do students live off campus?
I'll start telling you where not to live. Don't go to 100 Midtown. That was the worst apartment experience I've had. It was close to campus, but we had a cockroach infestation. And we'd call the people in to get rid of the bugs, and the bugs would never be actually gotten rid of. So don't live there. One of the places I've looked at is Collier Hills. I have a car, so that makes it easier to like get, I have a place with a pool and a tennis court, all that, and I get it's like $850 a month with utilities. And I would really recommend. I'm doing like sort of short term. I'm back in Atlanta for like 3 months, so I just found that on the Facebook. There's like a Georgia Tech sublease Facebook page for that, which is really helpful. Other than that, like there's a good amount of places right next to campus. It's more expensive to live in Midtown. You have like larger apartment high rises with nicer facilities. And those are going to be more like, $1,000, $12,000 to like $1,300 a month, like SQ5, U-House, Moderna, those sort of thing. And then you also have places like Home Park, which is just north of campus, and that's going to be like actual houses that like the person who owns that house is renting out. And so, with all these options, you're probably going to be doing it with more than one person. With Home Park especially, it's like a house that you rent, so you're going to want to find like other people to do it. That's going to be cheaper, but again, it's probably not going to be as nice. You're probably not going to have like a swimming pool outside and like a workout room and your private bathroom and that sort of thing. So those are the two most popular places. I would really recommend looking at like Georgia Tech. Find a sublease Georgia Tech on Facebook. They're like these groups that do that. And also, if you're looking for short-term rentals, there are always more people trying to rent out their apartments than people trying to find renters, especially during the summer, because a lot of these places will make you sign 12-month leases, and people are gone in the summer. So there's always just a wave of people saying, "Oh, I'm looking for someone to sublease my apartment from June to August when I'm not going to be here. And there's just like hundreds of those people doing that. So if you're looking for a short-term lease, that's definitely where to go.
Yeah, I live in Home Park actually. And I think depending on where you live in Home Park, you can have a really wonderful experience. You could also have a not so wonderful experience, but that's just something you learn with becoming an adult and learning how to lease, or sublease, sublease. As you can see, I'm still 21 and struggling. But no, you definitely, I think it's important. I personally think it's important to live off campus at one point or another, just so you have the tools to understand how to live off campus. So when you become an adult, you're like, oh, these are the things I need to look out for on a lease. These are the things I should make sure that I'm including, knowing how to negotiate things. That's just kind of my pro tip for you is that living in this house, it's been great to live with my friends, but there's some things that like have been different. We're moving to a great place next year, so it's also in Home Park. It's just a little bit nicer. So yeah.
I just think that's super funny because I have literally lived in the same building since my first year, since I'm now an RA, and I've stayed the RA in the same building. And so now with graduating, I have to go through like that stuff with finding an apartment. So I know a lot of people, their first year on campus, choose to live here just because it's definitely way easier. You get that community right away. But there's so many apartment buildings just steps off campus that it's so easy to try and just transition to those kind of life. So get a taste of it before you're like me and thrown to the wolves in it. So, this one's just like a general advice question. What advice would you give to your younger self when you started GT?
I can answer this. I was thinking about this the other day, but I think to not be so hesitant about everything. Also, it's not to be in your head. And there's so many different things you can always try and different things you can do. So it never hurts to talk to that person, to join that activity, to just put your foot in the door, because opportunities are abundant here and it's just about taking them. I know that I almost was thinking about graduating early and I decided not to actually, just because I wanted another year here of just getting to be a tech student and getting to experience tech life. And I'm fortunate to be able to like make that decision financially. But I would say take as many opportunities as you can, and try not to plan everything out all the time. I know a lot of people who come to tech are planners. They have 5-year plans. Believe me, I still have my 5-year plan in the back of my back pocket right now. But at the end of the day, like you can't plan everything out, and the best moments are the moments you don't plan. So that's my biggest advice that I would tell you guys and my younger self. So yeah.
Yeah, I'd say for me, be open to more new things. I tried a good amount of stuff, but I feel like that's something that, there's still other things that I could have explored that, I maybe regret not exploring. And also, I'm sort of like thinking about this now because I'm applying for jobs. But most of the jobs I've had were like university related, if not at Georgia Tech, then at other university. And so now I'm trying to apply for industry jobs. And so I don't have like those connections that you would make if you did an internship at, Zillow or an internship at like Airbnb, then you like work in a specific company role rather than working as a researcher, still writing software full time, but like, at an institution, that's sort of real specific to what I'm doing now and the problem that I'm facing. But yeah, try to get work experiences that aren't just at like the institution or like other higher ed institutions. Try to do like more industry ones. And that isn't really a problem. There are a lot of resources to do that as undergraduate students. Just for me, I always had this job lined up. I was like, oh yeah, I'm doing research. I'm doing like writing software. I'm making apps for this place. I don't need to apply for other stuff. And I sort of regret that now, not trying other things in that world of software development that I am interested in. Because I sort of, I knew that I could just continue to work on this place summer after summer. So that's, I'd say, probably my biggest regret.
Yeah, I would say mine's probably twofold. One is definitely the trying things. I found the best opportunities that I've come across. I did not plan for or also like actually wrote out of my plan. I told myself I wasn't going to take a co-op because I thought it would extend my time, and I don't know, my parents were very against it, and I ended up doing it. It's led to my full-time job offer and just like so many opportunities that I took through that. I also wasn't planning to study abroad and last minute filled out the application and got my study abroad semester in. So just so many things where you come in with a plan for sure. Like, don't throw everything to the wind, but know that it's going to change and just kind of take that as is. Um, I guess the other part of it is not being, this has been mentioned before, but not being afraid to talk to TAs and professors. I can tell you that I still detest talking to my professors till this day as a fourth year student. But it's only gotten easier with practice, going into their office hours, shooting them an email. They're so nice. Some of my friends have like sent out an email to the same professor that I have asking for like this crazy ridiculous thing that I thought like, hey, can you extend the deadline for this? Or hey, can you help me with that? And I was like, there's no way they're gonna answer you. Like, they're a cool professor, not really cool, but fancy professor. And they're super willing to help students and things like that. So you just gotta put yourself out there. They're here to help you. They're your resource. So all those things would definitely tell my younger self. I need that. Still to this day, I need that. Awesome. We got a question about jobs and what's it like having an on-campus job, and would you recommend it?
I cannot speak to this. So if either of you have had an on-campus job, feel free.
Yeah, I can talk about mine. I personally love my on-campus job. I work for the Center for Deliberate Innovation. We used to be a startup accelerator, and now we've changed who we're working with to essentially Georgia Tech staff and faculty. And we help them learn the whole customer interaction process. And doing that has really changed the way that I look at the world. Just like learning about the techniques that you use to like talk with people and learn sort of motivations behind things and like how you can be useful in people's lives. I found that completely fascinating. There are also a lot of other different on-campus jobs that you can get. I've tried to get ones that I would like put on my resume. So something like that. There's also a venture capital firm in Tech Square that hires specifically Georgia Tech students while they're here. That's called Engage. My old direct boss is now working there. So now I work for my old superior boss, which is great. There are also other different programs to get jobs through Georgia Tech. There's something like the Federal Jackets program, which is not an on-campus job, but it will give you money to then go and get a job in DC. There's something similar for like the Georgia State Legislature. So there are whole different opportunities for that. There's like the library and the IT department. That was sort of more along my lines because I'm doing like technical stuff and software dev. There's openings there. There's also the largest student employer is the gym, the CRC. So there are always job openings there if you want to make some money.
Yeah, definitely. If you want a job on campus, there is some way to get one somewhere. Like I said, I've been an RA on campus, so I know that's a little bit of a different job experience. But especially in that role, and also I held a role in one of our housing offices, so I basically just worked the desk and handed over keys whenever someone came in. With both of those roles, my bosses have been extremely understanding that we're here to be a student first, especially since in the housing world, a lot of these people didn't graduate from tech. They've really adapted to the culture and understand that when I have a midterm coming up, like I might not be the most engaged in meetings and things like that. And so they're willing to work with me on things like that. But there also is a bunch of tech grads who, continue working at the school and give back. So even they understand even more kind of what takes, especially if you do something like paid research on campus. That's another way to be working on campus. And so those professors work with you really well in doing all of that. So definitely, if that's something you want to pursue, I would highly recommend it just because it's right here, it's on your doorstep, and it's usually extremely valuable. Got a good, yeah.
There's something called the Student Job Boards. If you just Google that, you'll come up with a list of like places on Georgia Tech campus that are looking for students to like apply. So there are resources to find like a good amount of postings in one place. I'd really recommend doing that if you're considering that. Just Googling like student job board Georgia Tech, and you should find it.
Perfect. Awesome. Our next question is about safety. So is campus safe and have there been concerns?
Yeah, so I can answer that. A lot of we get this question a lot when we do campus tours. Because Tech is an open campus, which means anybody is welcome to come by our campus. We are located right next to Atlanta. Is kind of in our own little bubble at the bus. But for safety measures that are on campus, we have the blue light system, which is essentially like a little tower that has a little red emergency button that you push, and then our very own Georgia Tech Police Department will come and address the emergency. And this doesn't have to be something super serious, but I know like one year one of the tour guides fell and broke their nose. They pushed the button, and then the GTPD was there in under a minute, and they very much pride themselves on that. And going off of that, there is our own. We have our own Georgia Tech Police Department, which is housed on campus. They're really friendly. They're super awesome. They do canine and coffee, where they bring their dogs and give us coffee and donuts. Always my favorite of them. I like free food if you can't tell. But we have these systems in place, as well as Midnight, or the Midnight Rambler, which is a form of transportation you can use at night if you don't want to walk across campus. There's also Stingerette, which is basically our free Uber system that we have here on campus. So we have a lot of different resources where if you were ever to feel unsafe because of the night or anything like that too, we have ways to go about that. But in general, I've never felt unsafe. I've never felt like there's been any issue. And I'm going to just say this blatantly. Whenever there is anything that occurs within the campus area, we get alerts for it. They're called Clariacts. And they just basically tell us what's going on. Usually they don't involve a GT student, just something that's going on in the Atlanta area close to Tech's campus. But Tech is really good about keeping us informed and telling us like when those issues are resolved and if anything is going on. So you know what's going on most if not all of the time. You have resources to help you if you're in a situation where you may feel unsafe, but overall we have a very safe campus.
Yeah, to jump in on that, there's definitely been times where I've been walking across campus late at night that, probably shouldn't be, but I've always felt safe because, like she said, GTPD is always going around offering rides or just kind of monitoring. So even if it's 2 a.m., they're still doing their rounds out and about. So really making sure. One other thing I'd like to mention, just because it's on the forefront now of like mental health culture and things like that. We have access to on-call counselors 24/7 outside of the national hotline. So we have like within our own Georgia Tech counselors on call. So that's also a great thing. I know that's sometimes an aspect of safety on campus is just mental health safety. So there's always a counselor on call that's accessible. So that's something I want to put out there because it's not something many high school students think about. Cool. Peter, anything you want to add?
Yeah, I mean, it carries a little bit less weight because like I'm a guy, but I've never really felt unsafe on campus. Coming back from a hackathon at 2 a.m. in my apartment, felt fine. And Georgia GTPD is still there. They're not like Orwellian, they're not like watching your every move. They really make an effort to be like hip and like down with the students, and so they're really friendly. And I've never felt unsafe.
Sweet. A little bit lighter topic. What is your favorite place on or near campus? Gotta think about this one. It always changes.
I'd say mine. It's the place I always take like people when they visit, my family or friends who have you. I always take them to the rooftop garden on the Clough Undergraduate Learning Commons. It's just really nice. It's like a 5-story building, and there's like trees and like bushes and that sort of thing on the roof, and there's like a great view of Atlanta. So that's just the nicest viewpoint. You don't really hang out there. You go and you look around, and then you go downstairs. But that's like the place that I use to show off to other people.
Definitely on a lot of our stuff, websites, everything they send out, but I love the area around Tech Tower, especially campus. It has like an old architecture style and a new one, so like walking through that and kind of seeing the progression. It's like, oh, this one's really historical. And like over here, yeah, we have this building that's basically all glass walls and just a ton of natural light. So it's really cool seeing that. So I love like starting at Tech Tower, but then like walking through campus and getting to see. We also have a bunch of just random art on campus that like sometimes I know what they mean and other times I don't, but they're all really cool because they look very like technical. Like if Georgia Tech was embodied in art, that's what it would look like. It's just like innovative. I don't know. It's super cool. So getting to see some of that as well. I'd say off campus, I know we have some good food places off campus, so I'd probably say something like that. Down the road, I like Atwood's Pizza. We got like right down the road, some other good stuff. So, if I ever need to get off campus away from those nice buildings, it's usually a food place I take people to. So,
Yeah, I also would say that my favorite place changes all the time. It just kind of depends on the year and where I like am migrating to. But I think generally like my top places are Tech Green, which is like an expanse we have and kind of the central hub of campus. And on like the first spring day, you just see everybody like immediately go outside with frisbees and dogs, and they're like all hanging out because it's just nice weather again. Winter is done. I'm gonna say winter's coming, but it's opposite. But that's one of my favorite places. And then my favorite like study place is the MRDC, because quieter, and not like there's still a lot of windows, and you still get that feeling of like a study place, but it's not like the library. But the library's awesome, so those are my two.
awesome. Next question. How's the school spirit? Do people attend football games and basketball games and things of that nature? I can go ahead and kick that one off. So yes, I was super interested to come to a Southern school because I know that like apparently Southern football culture is like a crazy thing, and it's held true in a good way, like not super crazy, but no, just everyone's super involved and they dress up for game day. We were allowed by our athletic association to have some reduced like fans in our stadiums, both basketball and football. So that was a great opportunity. It was extremely safe. I managed to make it to both some football games as well as some basketball games this year, even with COVID protocols, and the way that they just kept students safe. There's also always goodies that they're handing out at games. Our women's team is still in the NCAA tournament, so there's a watch party going on like right across the street right now that I'm gonna head to after this. Get a free t-shirt, all that stuff, cheer on the jacket. So definitely, if you are a sports person, you are in a great place. If you're not a sports person, you definitely don't have to go to those things, but definitely an option for you. You guys want to add anything? I was super jazzed about that.
Yeah, I'll just say, when football season comes around, there is a big like a lot of students going to that, and there's gonna be like tailgates before that and all that. So it's open to you if you want to do that. It's there. That being said, the football games are the only sport that you have to like buy tickets to as students. You get like discounted prices. I forget exactly what it is, but like every other sporting event is free for students. Like you can go to basketball games no charge. So that's all I wanted to add.
Yeah, that's my favorite part is like we have D1 athletics and the fact that I pay, I think it's like $60 to $80 for a season football ticket. My brother goes to a D1 school back in Illinois who does not win as much as we do, and he pays like twice as much. So I think he has to pay for basketball too. So hey, we're over here vibing. Our next question, would you recommend the Ignite summer program? I don't know if either of you participated in that.
I have not. I've heard about it, if that helps. I've heard really great things, a good introduction. You get like a taste of tech life and tech academics, and all positive reviews from those that did do it. So yeah.
Yeah, I also haven't participated, but I know some people where they just have a crazy amount of friends. I'm like, how do you know these people? And it's always that they did an Ignite program. So it definitely seems like the way to go to get a quick community built and also get, I think it's like 2 or 3 classes under your belts. So I've heard, don't count me on that. But yeah, I've also only heard great things, and I've also only seen great things, especially since they're always together and talking about it. So even in their 3rd and 4th years, it must be good if they're talking about it for so long and had such long-lasting impacts. So yeah. Awesome. What is it like to live with a roommate? Do you become good friends and hang out? I'll pass. Peter's laughing. I'll pass it over.
Yeah. The first roommate I had, I left after a week and a half when I could get a better arrangement to a better dorm. But then the next roommate I had, I got that better arrangement because I became really close friends with him. Um, then I lived with 6 people, and I had my roommate who was my closest friend, and everyone else was in my friend group. So you can have a good experience, you can have a bad experience. Living with someone makes you learn them on a whole new level. I will say always, if you know who you want to live with, that's fine. If you're doing like random roommate selection, always say you're cleaner than you actually are, because that way you'll get paired with someone else who's clean. So that's just my advice for that.
I'm gonna laugh at that because I met my roommate through, like, I think there's Georgia Tech X year Facebook pages, and so I met my roommate through that. But we also, filled out. Housing has a survey that asks you how clean you are, asks you, what time you wake up, what time you go to bed, to try to match you or recommend matches based on like that survey. And I definitely said I was cleaner than I was. And our parents actually met at our summer orientation because we signed up for the same one just to get to know each other. And they both agreed that we were way messier than we admitted to being on the survey. So it didn't work out for me to do that. That's definitely a way to go about it. Yeah, it's really up to you. I would say the one thing, especially having lived in a first year building the past 4 years, is just be extremely honest with your roommate in like a good way. I'm a passive person by heart, and that is my nature. And so if my roommate did something that, annoyed me, I just kind of let it roll. And man, it snowballed. So I just got angry at the littlest things. Like she would throw something in the trash and I'd get mad at her. So trust me, just be honest. But yeah, I've seen people get so well along with like their first year roommate, especially, that they stayed roommates like the rest of their years. So basically what you want to put out into it, it's not all going to be perfect, but there's definitely ways to work through it as well. So yeah, I don't know, any helpful hints.
So me and my roommate got along well. We didn't become very close friends after first year, but we always had a very good dynamic because we were, like you said, honest with each other, kind of open about what we expected from it. But my friends that I currently live with, they actually have lived with each other for the 3 years since. Well, 2 years since, I guess. But they've formed really, really like close friendships. And now we all live in a house together. So, it kind of just depends. Everybody has different experiences, and it kind of goes, you can look at a person on a slide. That's like kind of how I did it. There was like a slideshow, a bunch of girls, and you just like reached out to them. Sounds kind of creepy, but like it was to make it smoother. But you like can see a person in one slide, and you have some understanding. You're like, oh, we meet all the boxes. And that's how it was for me and my roommate. We met all the boxes. Like, we're very similar, but when we actually met in person, we were very different people, because you can only get so much from that and from, like, 3 text conversations. But we ended up getting along great in a roommate setting. So it just comes with, different experiences, different things. But I think if you implement communication in all forms of and all ways of life, it'll always work out better than you expect.
Awesome. These are some solid questions. Similar to housing, often I think tangent. Have you participated in a living learning community? And if so, what was that experience like? I don't know if either of you have. Cool. I can speak. I have a living learning community in my building, and so I have too many friends that have been through one. But they always enjoy it. I think that we're getting to about like the 8 range. The whole list is on the housing website that you can go to and apply. I don't know if that's closed yet, but it was a great experience. I know I talked a lot about getting that like first community, whether it be through the Ignite program or something else. And this is another great way to go about it, especially if you have like great interest in one of those communities. It really just combines you with people like-minded to you, but also very different. So they share some of the same beliefs, and you can really, kick off a great start on, some conversations. So people I know really enjoyed it, especially kind of chooses where you go, but it also they do great programming within any of the learning communities. I know they're always doing cool things that I'm jealous that I don't get to do. But they also have great resources. I know our Living Learning community has access to like a 3D printer. They're global leadership, by the way, so it's not something that they need to use all the time, but they have access to these really cool resources. They have a VR set there, things like that. Just some other ways to open up opportunities on campus. So hopefully that answered some questions. Next one, do upperclassmen live in residence halls or do they get apartments?
So when I was a second year, I guess that's kind of upperclassman-ish. I lived in an apartment on campus. For the most part, once you get out of first year, you're either becoming an RA, living off campus, or living on campus. And if you're living on campus, you'll live in an apartment style. We have a couple different options. They're all great. They're sometimes connected to a certain program as well. But after your first year, you will typically be living in an apartment where you share a bathroom, share a kitchen, common space, but you have your own room. And then off campus, self-explanatory. And then RAs live in freshman dorms still, as Hannah has mentioned. But they just, I believe you live alone most of the time. I know my year there was a situation where they had to share because of space usage. But this year that's not happening. But in general, yeah. So those are the different ways.
Yeah, I would say I think the rule of thumb that they've mentioned that I've been told is that, yeah, about I think it's 97% of first years live on campus, and then after that, usually like decreases by 25%. So about 75% of our second years live on campus, 50% of our juniors. We mentioned before when we talked about off-campus opportunities, it's really a lot of people want to get that opportunity to live off campus to see what it's like once they move on, especially since our students go all over the nation, even the world. So getting those new housing opportunities is great. Our department, though, if you sign up before the deadline for any housing, you're guaranteed housing on campus. So that's not just to our first years, that's for upperclassmen as well. So if you do want to keep living on campus those years, you're more than welcome to. Just make sure you sign up by the deadline, basically. Next question, can you talk about Greek life? Peter, I don't know if you want to kick us off with that one.
I'm actually not in Greek life. You guys believe that? I'm in an honors fraternity, actually, if that counts. But yeah, I think, what is it, 25% of the student body lives in Greek life. It is, it's a real easy, and it's a great way to go out and like make friends and meet people. That being said, you don't need to go to Greek life if like you want to party or something. Like that's generally the reason. All sorts of social things will do something similar. You don't have to be in Greek life to like go out and meet people, but it makes it easier because bam, you're put into a situation where there's like 20 or 30 other people who are like in your grade that you're all of a sudden going to become really close with. So it's an easy way to just do that right off the bat. And it really is however big or however small you want to make it. You can make Greek life the center of your world and, be on the exec board and like get real into it, and, like go to all the mixers and all that sort of stuff. Or you can do your own thing. You don't really have to, you don't have to be in Greek life to be social here on Georgia Tech. So that's the thing that we stress here.
Yeah, I threw you under the bus with that one, my bad, but no, that was great. Yeah, like he said, you are more than welcome to be involved with, but if you just like the sports, if you don't want to do it, be involved, see it, you don't have to. Any kind of that stuff. It's definitely been a thing people have gotten involved with. I've noticed more this year just because with limited options at the beginning of the semester, fall semester, a lot of people chose to join and they've loved their experience even in COVID times. So yeah, basically it's a make your own journey here. So if you want to go for it, it's definitely supported. Awesome. One last question, we'll wrap it up. Actually, two more. One is, what percentage of your time during a 7-day week do you study?
percentage of time that we study?
Yeah, I would say like a breakdown of like how often you study, basically.
Yeah, that's hard to quantify in percentages, but I think overall, so I've heard like a lot of different ways that people kind of treat school. So there's kind of the two standard ways that I've broken it down into is you either treat school as an 8 to 5, like a job. So you wake up, starting at 8, depending on classes and things, you do class and you work in between until 5. And that's kind of your designated school time. It becomes a 40-hour work week. I don't know percentage wise what that adds up to be, but like, think of it that way. Other ways that most students, I would say, end up doing it is not an 8 to 5 because, kind of bopping around and doing our thing. But you find gaps of time where you fill it in with studying. Like I know today I spent probably 5 hours doing lecture and like doing some lab report stuff. So it's like half the time I'll be doing my stuff for school and half the time I'll be doing my extracurriculars. Some days it might end up being 70% of the time because I work part-time and I have to like kind of manage it onto one day. But, it just, I think it's a day-to-day basis, but overall 50-50, 60-40 is how I try to split mine, where 60, it would be the more time studying, but yeah.
I can go. It for me, it really depended semester to semester. This semester taking 2 classes because I need to get these 2 classes to graduate, and that's it. So most of my time isn't spent studying. Semester before I had 5 classes, all upper level classes, so that was more time intensive. And also there are right and wrong ways to do it. Like I talked about earlier, time management. If you do the project, broken up into pieces earlier on, it's going to take you much less time than if you wait until one day and try to do it all. So you can make these projects require less time if you're smart about it and you plan it out ahead of time. So that's my recommendation for that. Some classes will take more than other. For ME, I had 2110, and that was just annoying because I was in that lab for several hours, not a day, but like in these several hour chunks a week, which was just, I hated that. It was so annoying, but it, like some classes will be lighter than others, and you'll figure out ways to to optimize the time that you spend on those sort of things. And so for me, people say like, oh, you should be doing 4 hours of classwork for every 4 hours of credits. It's generally less for me. I'll be honest. I do maybe an hour and a half of homework, depending on the week. It could be hour and a half to 3 hours, but not like equal in and out of class, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I would definitely agree with that. I know we're coming up on our time where we can hit one more question. How are the dining options, and did you get a dining plan when living off campus?
I can speak to that.
Oh, sorry, easy.
You can go ahead. It's
Okay. I did not get a dining plan off campus. For me, when I would go on campus and buy food, I would get chicken nachos with twisted taco with everything but sour cream, or I get the beef broccoli and lo mein from Panda Express. And all of that was just out of my own, debit card is how I'd pay. So it was all out of pocket. That was the food I liked. I did not get a dining plan. I did not get a dining plan or meal plan when I was off campus. There was no point for me to do that. I'd spend exactly how much money I wanted to spend when I wanted to spend it. Being an incoming freshman, you're going to have to get a dining plan. And that means you're going to eat at the, whatever restaurants we have, like those dining plan style, like buffet style restaurants. And those are fine. They're not like write home about, but, if you choose your college based on the food of the freshman dining plan, I think you're doing something wrong there. So that's my thoughts.
I was just going to say that next year we're actually moving to a self-dining option. Basically, Georgia Tech is doing all of their dining for themselves without having an outside company cater, essentially, is what it means. So you guys will be guinea pigs for that. We will have no idea what that tastes like, but it should be really cool. They're planning some really cool things with it. They're continuously trying to find more innovation within just the like options you have, especially with the new campus center. They're including more new cafes and such. I actually ate freshman food today. I don't, not freshman food, but like meal swipe food today, and it's not bad. It's different than what I had. It was like a little bento box. We didn't get that when I was a freshman. So I enjoyed it when I had it. Of course, you kind of get tired of maybe having the same options, but in general, it's a pretty good overall. So yeah.
Yeah, definitely. I found my places. I've had a meal plan all 4 years, and I've found the places that I love. And, maybe some of the parts I don't go to, I don't get pizza every day because I did that freshman year, and I cannot do that again. But I've been able to vary my options. So that's been great. Awesome. Thank you guys for being here, and also congrats on getting into tech. If everyone, just as a sign off thing, if everyone wants to go around and give like any final thoughts or advice, yeah, and then we'll send it off. But
Thanks for coming. Congrats. Honestly, don't know how it's getting harder every year. So awesome job. And I guess just, I hope you choose us. I hope you got some good information today. If you do have any other questions, feel free to email admissions about that. They're a great resource for that as well. But yeah.
Yeah. And congrats, everyone. It's going to be a really exciting point in your life. Things change, and like you're going away from home and not living with your parents and all that. Like, at least that's what it was for me. So it's a huge change. So I'm really excited for you guys. You guys are gonna do great, wherever you go. If you go here, you go somewhere else. It's just, I'm happy for you guys. You guys are in a good place.
yeah, especially going through these times with COVID and everything, y'all have my respect, even though I don't know you, just going through all that with high school and everything wrapping up. So best of luck on your decision. If you haven't made it yet, check out some of our other panels. Definitely, they're more catering to other topics. So if one of those interests you, definitely make sure. We definitely can't cover everything in an hour. So enjoy making your decision and the rest of your spring. Hopefully we'll see you in the fall.